So, picture this. In a little village called Chamgali, there's this absolutely beautiful garden, but it holds a really dark secret. A terrifying voice booms out from a cave nearby, and it keeps everyone away. This is the story of how one girl's courage didn't just challenge a monster, it uncovered a truth that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming.
I mean, seriously, what would you do? Imagine your home, the place you're supposed to feel safe, is living under the constant shadow of, well, a monster. There's this voice from a cave just down the road, and it's so terrifying that no one even dares to find out what it is. Do you just lock your doors and hope for the best, or do you go find out the truth? Well, for the people of Chamkali, this wasn't just a thought experiment. It was their reality. They lived right next to this gorgeous garden they couldn't even set foot in, because right past those flowers was a dark cave, and the voice coming from it held the entire village hostage with fear. To make sense of it, the villagers gave their fear a name, a jinn, a powerful evil spirit. They were convinced it guarded the garden, ready to destroy anyone who trespassed. Just the sound of its voice was enough to paralyze the whole community. And look, this wasn't just some spooky story they told their kids. Their fear was real. One young man, Ranja, who was a bit braver than everyone else, decided he was going to solve this mystery. He went to find the source of that voice. By the next morning, he was dead. To the village, this was proof. The jinn was real, and it was a killer. But here's where our story really kicks off. Not everyone was buying it. In the village lived two sisters, Rima and Seema. Now, Seema was just as terrified as everyone else, but her older sister, Rima, she was different. She was driven by something way stronger than fear: curiosity. The whole village just accepted the story of the evil jinn. It was simple, and it kept them safely locked away in their fear. But Rima, she just couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. For her, Ranja's death didn't prove the legend was true. It just made her more suspicious. She was absolutely convinced there had to be another explanation. So, one day, after their dad left for the city, Rima talked Seema into going with her to the forbidden garden. They walked right past the other villagers, ignoring all their warnings, and stepped into the one place everyone was too scared to go. The search for the truth had officially begun. As they got closer to the cave, this mysterious old woman just appeared, carrying a basket of fruit. She frantically warned them to turn back, yelling that the jinn would kill them, just like it killed the boy. I mean, who was this woman, and what was she doing there? The mystery just got a whole lot deeper. And honestly, that was enough for Seema. Between the village horror stories and this creepy old woman screaming at them, she was done. She turned and ran, leaving Rima standing there alone. Rima had a choice: play it safe and go with her sister, or walk into that darkness by herself. She chose the darkness. As Rima crept towards the mouth of that dark cave, a voice came out. But it wasn't the monstrous, terrifying roar she'd been told about her whole life. It was something else, a weak, desperate voice. It sounded like someone was in real pain, and they were begging for help. Taking a deep breath, Rima stepped into the cave. And what she found inside was about to flip everything the village believed completely upside down. This wasn't a story about a monster. It was a story about a victim. Inside, this frightening, shadowy figure confronted her. But it explained that it wasn't the jinn. It was only his shadow. The real jinn was a prisoner, chained deep inside that very cave, and had been for centuries. The monstrous voice that terrified the village? Yeah, that was just his shadow's desperate cry for help. Then the jinn told Rima this story of an incredible betrayal. Centuries ago, a woman had found a magical fruit that he needed. He offered her 2 wishes for it. For her first wish, she asked for the garden to be hers forever. And for her second wish, she trapped him in the cave, making sure her power could never, ever be challenged. And then came the most shocking reveal of all. Ranja wasn't killed by the jinn. He was murdered. Murdered by that old woman who warned Rima to stay away. She was the witch who had trapped the jinn all those years ago, and she killed Ranja to protect her secret and keep the village living in fear. The jinn explained there was only one way to break this horrible curse. Rima had to get that very same magical fruit back from the witch's hut. It was an incredibly dangerous mission, but it was the only way to get to the truth and free him. So, Rima's mission was clear. She crept up to the witch's hut and thankfully found her asleep. She spotted the basket of fruit and saw one that was glowing with this strange magical light. This was it, the key to everything. But of course, just as she grabbed it, the witch's eyes snapped open. She was furious that her centuries of lies were about to fall apart. She shrieked and lunged right at Rima. The final chase had begun. Okay, so everything happens super fast now. Rima bolts back to the cave with the witch hot on her heels. In all the chaos, she drops the fruit. But then it magically turns into a bright red parrot. The witch lunges one last time, but suddenly she just burst into flames, totally consumed by her own evil. But it's not over. The parrot tells Rima there's one last test. Rima is led into this chamber where 4 magical keys are just floating in the air. The parrot says she has to pick the right one to unlock the jinn's prison, but if she picks wrong, all the keys will disappear forever and the jinn will be trapped for good. So, which one would you choose? But Rima didn't panic. She thought about it. The magical fruit, the key to this whole thing, had just turned into a red parrot. It had to be a clue. She realized the large red key must be the one. And she was absolutely right. With the turn of that red key, the jinn's prison completely shattered. The curse was broken. Rima's courage hadn't just saved a trapped soul, it was about to change her entire community forever. The free jinn appeared before her, not as a monster or a shadow, but as this powerful, grateful being. He thanked her for her incredible bravery and told her he would grant her any wish she wanted as a reward. But Rima didn't ask for wealth or power. She made a totally selfless wish. She wished that the garden, which had been a symbol of fear for so long, would now become a place of permanent beauty for everyone in her village to share and enjoy. You know, Rima's story really makes you think about what it means to be brave, doesn't it? She was scared, just like every single other person in her village. But the difference was she didn't let that fear control her. She acted anyway. So it leaves you with a pretty big question. Is real courage not being afraid at all, or is it being absolutely terrified and doing the right thing anyway?